So, hello everyone. This is Javiera for 1133podcast.com. And today we are with Richard West. I am tremendously excited, I have to be honest, and tell all of you that it has taken me some time to go through his material and to pick a couple of topics that we can talk together because there are so many. He has over 700 videos on YouTube, which he has uploaded throughout the years. He's a metaphysical teacher and an intuitive coach. And he talks about duality, he talks about the different realms of existence, and we are going to be exploring today the topic of the matrix, also the statement of life is a game. So I want to say that when I was watching one of his videos on YouTube, I was very intrigued by the fact that Richard was putting a lot of emphasis on the affirmation that this life is a game. And this is something I have heard said by other people kind of lightly, but when I heard it from him, I had the certainty that there was a depth of understanding. So I am super excited to be with you, Richard. Thank you so much. I would love to welcome you to all of us.
Well, thank you very much. It's a delight to be here. I can ask me a question and I can just fire away. This thing about the life as a game, it's on so many levels, the game of it. You know, the games people play, you know, there's relationship games, you know, children are playing games with their parents to pull their parents' chain, you know, but then, there's the greater games of, what's going on with humanity. There are dark forces the game is domination and control. And the game for our side is to be free. So it's not like necessarily a game you want to play, but the game you're involved in. And when you look at basic game mechanics, you can lay it out as a game. You can see how it is a game. There's objectives, there's goals, there's playing field, there's different players on both sides, there's coaches, and there's rules. And the rules we play by here are agreements. We make these agreements before we are born. So there's an agreement to play the game, to be involved, and then the rules that you are supposed to play by. Now you can break the rules, but then there's other rules that say what happens if you break a rule. You know, so it's all rule based in that way.
This is fascinating. I already have so many questions for you, Richard. So let's start with the fact that I love that you mentioned the law of agreement. So nothing can happen to us unless we agree with that. At a subconscious level, I'm guessing, and a conscious level as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for example, can you explain us a little bit about this law of agreement? How does it work, and how does this empower us?
Well, yeah, we are such incredibly powerful beings. We're amazingly powerful. We're God beings. We are creator beings, each and every one of us. And that can be seen just from being able to close your eyes and imagine an apple or imagine a horse in a pasture. We are creating it all within our own consciousness. So we are creating this. If we can imagine the mountains and looking at the moon and the stars, we are creating that. So that's what we can see just from now. But we have been great, powerful creator beings. We create these dreamscapes we call universes or belief system territories, and we move into them, and we take a point from which to view and experience that dreamscape from inside it. And now we've got touch and feel, the trees, the rocks. It's all imaginary, and we just imagine it. There it is. You touch it, you feel it, you experience it, and then you can invite friends in to your dreamscape, and it becomes, when the two people agree that your imaginary place is real, that agreement makes it real. Just the very agreement of it. So you could say reality is based upon agreement, or agreement creates reality in this way. So you can invite one person in, you can invite 100, and you can have a mutually created dream. So everybody puts their own creative energy in that dreamscape. And so everyone is creating that dream world. Now everyone has the potential and the ability to create new things within that dream world, that reality system. But there may be agreements that, no, this is where town center is, and it's a pretty fountain, a water fountain. Somebody comes in and they want to create a fish pond instead. No. So the greater agreement will one, not like this guy for breaking the rule. You know, the agreement was that we'd have a beautiful fountain in town square. So it's sort of self-monitoring in that way, while everybody else is agreeing. And this is if we were creating on a conscious level. So we're all, know that we got the fountain here. And so Charlie, who's been out in the country, he comes back into town, and he's always been creating the fountain. He sees the fountain. So the fountain will be there for him and all the people. He agrees that there's a fountain. Now, if Joe said, no, I'm a creator being, I'm powerful, I can do whatever I want, and he creates a pond there, fish pond, he may see the fish pond, but nobody else will agree with him. No, it's not a fish pond. I don't see a fish pond. Not happening. We all agree. Yeah. So this is kind of like a basic theory or understanding of how realities are created. So physical reality is just that. But instead of 10 or 100, there are billions and billions upon billions of beings, trillions, who have come into the physical universe dreamscape. It doesn't really matter who originally imagined it, but everybody else, oh, good idea. And we all instantly create the whole thing ourselves. But we do it with agreement. So agreement plays a part in reality. So when you're born into this world, on this planet, you make these agreements to play the game a certain way, be a certain kind of person. And the theory is that we have made thousands and thousands of agreements just to be the human being we are. Now, so people will come into this world agreeing to, limitation, sickness, tragedy in their life, agree to have a dysfunctional relationship. And the theory is that we make these agreements before we get here. And then we live our life based upon these agreements that we've made. And so our reality from a first-hand perspective, a subjective perspective, we experience our reality by virtue of what we've agreed to. Short story.
And this is what you call soul contract, right?
Yeah, these would be soul contract agreements, because they're made on a level before you're human, you're soul. So soul contract agreement. And once you make these agreements, it kind of lays out your basic personality, and you agree to it. You don't have to, but what we do, we agree to these things, and then we get here. And now that we have the basic agreements in place, other things happen in our lives because we've agreed to that. Like somebody agreed, it doesn't sound like a sane agreement right now, but to agree to fail. If a person agreed to fail. So now they're in their life and they're living their life and they fail a lot and they don't know why, because they don't remember making these agreements. So because they've agreed to fail, they do fail. Now that they fail too many times, they feel like a loser. They lost the race, they lost the game, they lost the contest. Now, before they're 10 years old, they feel like a loser. Now, if they look at their own life, they go, yeah, that's the loser life, all right. They've made another agreement. They've agreed that they are a loser based upon their experience of losing, based upon the original agreement to fail. Mm-hmm. So we gather more agreements. It's like a snowball effect around the core agreement. you get these other agreements load up. And all of our agreements always affect us our whole life. Every belief we have, we've agreed that that's the way it is. We agree to believe it, or we don't believe it. Somebody will tell you, did you know this thing, that this guy did this and he did that? I don't believe that. Nuh-uh. So, no agreement. But the lady, you know what the lady did? She did this, that, and the other. She said, oh, yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's what happened. So that becomes my subjective reality. The idea of truth is really not really necessary. It's what we believe, what we agree to creates our reality.
Actually, this is interesting, and thank you for all that information. It's through all the interviews I've made, the concept of belief systems is just crucial to understand how powerful they are to how we create our reality and how we live our reality. So I would say the obvious question would be to ask you, how can we be more aware of them, and how can we change these soul contracts for our benefit and for our joy and life experience?
We can do what's called soul contract revocation or soul contract clearing, or another way to put it would be agreement clearing. And so you can do inner work, and you can look for the agreements that you've made. Soul contract agreements can be found, and the other agreements that are around, that have gathered around it. And you can literally, in one session of soul contract revocation, you can find 20, 30, 40 agreements on a specific subject that you're having difficulty with. And you can revoke those agreements using different steps and stages. You revoke the agreement, null and void, canceled agreement. Done. And when you get done with that session, you no longer agree to those conditions and circumstances in your life. And it changes you. It changes you on the inside. And it is a technique. And I do teach the technique on my website. So, but I learned it from Cameron Day. I learned the technique on how to revoke soul contracts. Well, I learned the whole theory and concept of it from Cameron Day's website. So he got me on the track, and because I've had like over 30 years of using different techniques for personal development, all kinds of processes and methods and techniques that I've used on myself and others. I go, well, Cameron Day's technique is for revoking the agreements is really good. But how do you find them? I go, well, I know how to do that. And so I did it. I found my own soul contract agreements and all these other agreements. And then I did the revocation technique, and it really worked well. I mean, a classic one is road rage. I would get really, really angry when somebody would ride my bumper on the freeway, and they get behind me and tailgate me. It's like really it really make me angry. It was like, because it reminded me of bullies when you were a little kid, standing in line in school. They get right behind you, they invade your space, and they push on you. And I was too little to do anything and too afraid to get angry. And now, bullies on the freeway, I would get livid. I would get so angry. And I go, well, that's too much. Rich. Maybe there's a soul contract here somewhere in this. So I addressed this issue of my anger and the road rage with soul contracts. You got about 20 or 30 agreements. I revoked the agreements. Literally, you revoke, I agree that I get angry when I'm tailgated. Why revoke that agreement?
Easy.
I cancel that agreement. Not doing it. Now, you think, when you hear it like this, oh, it's not that easy. How can you possibly just say, I agree not to be angry anymore? If you were just revoking that one agreement, it might not work. But when you find the other 30 or 40 agreements with it, and the soul contract agreement that is the core, and you find it all, and you revoke that core agreement and these other agreements about getting angry, you can do it. Next time the guy comes behind me, it's like, I don't agree to get angry. It's that simple. It's more than willpower. It's you've removed the compulsion, the agreement on a deep level to respond emotionally the way you do in your life. That's what it's about. It's really amazing.
Richard, what I would like to ask you, and this is something I've been, talking with some friends, and it's the question of why did we choose to forget who we are? And how, because we're talking about agreements, how can we revoke that agreement? How can we say, you know what, I don't agree with living a life where I feel disconnected, even if it's an illusion. I don't agree with that illusion anymore. Can we do that?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, it will be an agreement that we are compelled to make these agreements. It's like if you want to use Microsoft software, you have to accept, or they won't let you use it. You can't use the software unless you agree to the terms of agreement. It's like this on this world. We cannot incarnate on this planet unless we accept the agreements, the terms of the contract, literally. This makes sense to me. This is, it's a story, it's a theory, it's a philosophy, it's an understanding and an approach to how and why life is the way it is. And over 40 years of research and philosophy and past life regressions and between lives, and you see what's going on and how the extraterrestrials are involved in all of this and multidimensional reality and how it all fits together. I hear this story about Earth, just about a year and a half ago, and I go, that makes sense. It would have to be that way, wouldn't it? So I'm using this theory of understanding, this theory and understanding of how it is on Earth. We have to agree to the terms of the agreement and contract before we can incarnate. So we don't want to agree to forget who we were. We don't want to agree that we cannot travel out of body. We do not want to agree that we're a loser, or I don't want to agree that to live with a mean mother or father or older brother. I don't want to agree to this. Well, then, you don't incarnate. Oh. And we're deceived and told stories in such a way that we feel compelled that we must reincarnate. We have to. For our own well, for our own good. We think we are going to go back one more time, incarnate, and fix everything, or do the last little bits for our spiritual growth. And then we get to leave and go into the higher heaven worlds or the higher planes, paradise worlds after that. That's the stories we're told, and we believe it. Well, just like there are liars and deceivers on this plane of existence, there are liars and deceivers in the other planes when we leave here. So beware.
You're talking a little bit, if I'm not wrong, about the lords of karma, right?
Yeah.
Yes, this is a fascinating topic. It's definitely something that is coming to my awareness and others. And just, this is a huge one, so I don't think we can go into that one. But it's just the only thing I tell some of my friends is like, when you die and someone comes and asks you, you have to do this or that, you just tell them, who are you to judge me? Just remember you are completely free and you can go, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you're never judged. And as you're saying, life, let's go back into life is a game. So my question would be, if this life is a game and the playground is made from belief systems, what is beyond the game?
What is beyond this
explore
game?
That. Exactly. What is beyond this game? Is there a place of true nature? Let's go into that one.
Okay. Yeah. I like to call what's beyond this plane the greater reality. In fact, there are many greater realities and planes and dimensions and realms, infinite number, alternate realities, parallel universes. It's just different frequencies and vibrations. It's like television, you tune into different channels. Literally, you can tune into different reality systems. So I've done a lot of research with going out of body and working with friends that can get out of body. And I can literally sit with somebody and talk to them and coach them and guide them out of body. And then they can stay in that vibration where they don't have to kick in their analytical mind, which is a vibration that causes one to shift back. So you can stay in that higher zone, and I will be the analytical mind, and I'll be the coach and the guide, and I would guide my student or the traveler through different things. And we did channel surfing. It's like channel surfing, but the multiverse. She would just shift from one reality, and she said, "Oh, it's just a man and a woman sitting in their living room watching TV. He's reading the paper. Oh, okay." I said, "Well, let's just shift back in," and she would shift into it's like a river or a flow of energy, and she'd feel this kind of a gray, foggy-looking realm, but you'd feel moved along. And I go, "Okay, so focus in on the next, what do you see?" Oh, I see there. It's grass. Okay, well, focus in on that. Oh, yeah, I'm laying in the grass. And I'd help her focus. There's ways I can guide people. So now she's in a realm of fairies, or elves, or little bitty people. And she's talking to them. And that's just one small aspect of this greater reality. It's real. It's very, very, very real there. It's more real there than it is here. The things you touch, see, smell, taste, interact with people, the emotional things, and they're higher vibrational, and there's no pain. There's fear in some places, but it depends on the realm you go into. And the realm you go into depends on a lot of different things. Your emotional vibration of the moment, your intentions, your philosophy, your beliefs. Did you have a good day today in the physical world or not so good? Just all kinds of things can come into play when you go out of body. And you can go out of body, you can literally roll out of your bed and be on a vibrational level just very close to the physical, so everything looks exactly the same. Or you can roll out of your bed and it's almost the same, but the door might be on the wrong side or the window. So that's another reality. But you touch this stuff and it's real. Or you can roll out of your bed and just fly through the window, and then everything changes. You fly up in the sky, and then you just might think of some place, or without thinking, you'll find yourself in another realm or a world. So that's another way to get beyond and into these other reality systems. So the one I like to focus on most is it's kind of like what they call fourth density reality sometimes in the New Age terms, but I call it the greater reality. And it's a universe very much like this, with space travel and high technology and worlds, all kinds of worlds and neighborhoods and civilizations. And I have been able to go out of body. I've asked my higher self, show me something I need to know to get a better understanding of things. That was my basic. So I would never go to sleep with something in mind or a place to go. They would just show me things. So I've seen so many things like puzzle parts. And I go, oh, I see how this works. So there's war in these other realms. Just like here, there's war. But there, it's more like playing a 3D virtual reality computer game. Kids like to play these war games. Right now, they like that. They're fascinated. They'd rather do that than play one of these little flower games where you chase a flower over the fields. Mm-hmm. They would rather fight. And see, it's the nature of our being. We like the game. We like to play. We like to win. Spirit loves to play these games. It's entertaining. It's enjoyable. So in these higher realms, because there's no pain, we're still able to play these games, and it's more enjoyable. It's more civilized. It's a better way to live life and experience life, but it's still war, and it's real. I mean, the guns, the ships, the battles, but the pain is not there. So it's, in that way, it's a higher level gameplay. Here, it's gotten incredibly serious with pain. Pain and unconsciousness is what's made, and forgetfulness, amnesia, is what makes the gameplay on planet Earth a game of domination and control and enslavement, and the kind of game you want to not have to play and wish you could get out of. So, what is that?
Richard, I wonder, why would you choose, personally speaking, to come to this game? And I asked this question because this is something that apparently many people came to this planet in these times, right? For a change, or to change the game a little bit. So I would say or guess that you are one of them. So I'm curious to know what was your reason, and do you remember the moment you agreed to come here?
Yeah. Most of my life, I didn't know, why am I here? I don't get it. I hate this place. I want out of here. Right? But I noticed I was a good teacher. I would talk and people would have realizations. And I wasn't teaching, I was sharing what I knew and what I understood. I'd learn something and then I'd share it with a friend. And they'd have their own realization about it. And I go, that's neat. It feels good, right? And so that kept happening in my 20s. It happened more and more and all the time. And I go, oh, okay. And then I love to teach. I used to teach algebra and different things. Come to find out, why I'm here is to teach and to help awaken humanity. Humanity is in such a state right now, and the dark forces on this planet are overwhelming with mind control and programming the masses and dumbing us down and keeping us ignorant and in a state of amnesia. We don't remember who we were. We don't remember our spiritual life. We can't hardly get out of body. And when we do get out, they do things to keep us from getting out of body. Because if you just get out of body and into the other realms, you start figuring it out. You will start eventually figure it out. So they do things with technology these days to keep you from being able to get out of body. Electromagnetic field radiation. It's in the telephone poles. It's in your cell phone, computers, monitors, everything, electronics, your utility meters. And they do it on purpose. They're doing it on purpose from a very spiritual place or a very high-tech place. You could imagine that this place is dominated and controlled by extraterrestrial beings that are multidimensional in ability and consciousness. They can move into this plane, this density, and they can move out. They can move in and out. And they use high-tech and advanced civilizations, technologies, to keep this civilization suppressed so that we don't catch on to our spiritual nature and awaken and are able to get out of this matrix and stay out. Or, more likely, be able to come into this matrix and leave it at will. So I kind of got off track. You were asking me something and I missed.
It's beautiful because you're explaining what is happening. And my question was regarding why did you choose to come here? As it seems so many others chose to come here, and it's such an uncomfortable experience for many.
Yeah. I think myself and so many other people have come here to help awaken humanity. We get how bad it is, and some of us have come from the future, and we see where it goes, but it goes in so many different directions. It's like there's a track of reality that you can track, and each one of us has the ability to. It's literally like stepping stones and a path. you can take the next step straight ahead, or you can go off a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. And now that you go 3 or 4 steps off to the left, you're going to be in more new options that you wouldn't have if you'd gone to the right. And so each step is a step in your reality. And your reality, your future, the future of humanity, literally, it unfolds differently than if you would have made the other decision and done the other thing. And we think that everybody, that we're in one reality system, and it doesn't really matter what we do. But in fact, we are the center and the creator of our reality. And wherever we go and whatever we do, we are creating it for ourselves and everyone else we see. So in this way, we're literally creating everybody else we see. And we'll go, what about the other guy? Isn't he creating everything he sees? Yeah, but from your perspective, this is about you. You are creating everything you see. Now, if you see this guy over here turning left and are going out with this girl instead of going out with that girl, you see him going out with this girl, his whole reality is going to be different than if he married the other girl and lived that way. So you watch him marry this girl, Jane, and you watch him for a few years to see what happens in his reality system. But it's your reality system of him and his relationship. Now, for him, if he had the free will to choose Gloria. Now, if he chose Gloria in his reality, but Jane in your reality, he would be living in a completely different reality. And he would be bringing his version of you into his reality. Like if you're a friend of his. Now, what he sees in his reality of you would be different from your reality of you. It's literally 2 different reality systems. Now, what this is real deep, what realities are like, and they're just unlimited realities. Yes. You could, if a person was interested in this subject, they could read the book Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts. He's the first one that introduced me to this back in the 80s. It's every decision point we make. It changes everything for each individual.
It's fascinating. And the same thing that you were saying before about the future, or when you can see the future, it's also important to remember that there are infinite timelines, and you can be seeing different futures. But that's a huge one as well. It's like this conversation is so much about observing our own resistances to what we can accept as new beliefs. Let's call it that way. Mm-hmm. Just putting ourselves into an uncomfortable position where things that we don't understand could be true. That's more or less what I'm sensing. So I would like to ask you as well, because we talk about the law of agreement, and you were mentioning that this game has different rules. So can you share with us some other rules that we are bound to?
Rules that we're bound to. Well, generally, if we have an emotional reaction to something irritates us, like there's somebody in your life that they do a certain thing and it bothers you, we actually have agreements. We have to agree that it bothers us or it won't bother us. Like 2 people in the same room, something happens and it doesn't bother this person, but it bothers this person. Oh, like here's a classic example. Driving in the car, it's a quiet road and it's nice, and maybe you're talking to the other person in the car. No problem. And they hear a squeak, a rattle. And they go, "What's that rattle?" I go, "I don't hear none." And it's, no, there it is. Can you hear that? And then I have to focus on it and hear it. And I go, "Oh yeah, I hear that." And it just annoys the hell out of me. It doesn't bother me. See? And so that would be one small look or example of how this person has to agree that little squeaky, rattly things bother them. They somewhere in their reality and life and experience, they've agreed that bothers me, and so now they have from it does, because they agree that it does. and that's just our emotional responses are like that. Is there anything that makes, go ahead. You want to say something?
I was going to ask you if the power of affirmation has something to do with agreeing or creating an agreement.
No, not really.
Mm-hmm.
An affirmation is what it really normally is when people do it. They're trying to affirm or state something over their prior agreement. They're trying to cancel something. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I'm going to win this. I'm going to win. Well, if they knew and felt within their heart they're going to win, and they knew it, they wouldn't need affirmations. Mm-hmm. So affirmations are like a fix on the deeper-seated beliefs and agreements that we have in place. So trying to do an affirmation over a more basic, deeper issue isn't really the best way to go. I mean, you do it enough times, yeah, it will overpower the other thing, but the other thing won't be gone. It'll just be overpowered, and it would tend to build up and cause stress over time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does work in some cases, but then we're getting into the mind and how the mind works, and suggestions and different things, programming yourself and implanting yourself with ideas and thoughts and different things. Yeah, but yeah, it's better if you are able to revoke the agreements than it is to try to affirm something over the top of a behavior that you want to change.
I understand you. Right. You want to get to the core of what creates that need of revoking, for sure.
Yeah.
How do you see society and humanity right now? Because some people are, they're talking about the powers that were. So it seems like we already achieved, the tipping point. Or we already did it, kind of thing. Like the awakening is inevitable for the ones that agree to that, of course, and want to experience the awakening. How do you see society? Is it changing under your eyes or not? Or where are we?
Yeah. Well, when I look around, it appears, I go shopping at the grocery store or something. I live in the Central Valley in California, and it's like, these people don't get it. I'm assuming, I'm just guessing, they don't get it. They are clueless of what's really going on in the world. When they're, but that is an assumption. Is that really true? I think it is. But
you're just being honest.
Yeah. I've adjusted. It's like, I think people like you and I have come here to help awaken humanity and to help people break free of this matrix, this weird world, so we don't have to continue to reincarnate, or we can get away from here and find spiritual freedom and more fun things to do. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us have come here to help awaken humanity to who we really are and the nature of things and what's really going on Earth. And I think a lot of people who are ready are awakening. They're reaching, they're looking, and they're finding out from the people before them who've sorted it out. They're finding out what's going on planet Earth. And it doesn't take much for some people to go, 9/11 was an inside job? There wasn't terrorists that did that? No, look at this. And some people will go, yeah, let me see that. Oh my God. And they need like just 3 little things and they're convinced. Somebody else, same thing. They go, no, that's ridiculous. Inside job, really? Who, what are you saying? The president was in on it? Mm-hmm. Well, you could shove all kinds of information and documentation at them, and they won't believe it. They're not ready. So there's people who are ready to awaken. They're looking for it. They want it. There's a lot of people on this planet, and a lot of people want to awaken, and they haven't yet. but they just need a little bit of help. A little bit of truth shared here and there. And other people, they're not having any of it. They don't care. So those people, I've decided, you know what? I am not going to waste my time with that. Done. So I started this. I'm getting ready to launch this thing I call the Truth Support Network. For people who want to, they're learning the truth. They want to learn more and they want to share it. And so it's kind of a gathering of like-minded individuals who want to learn how to promote or share the truth and help awaken the planet. It's kind of we got a little forum and everything. So that's coming up too. So I won't plug my stuff right now, but yeah, that's coming up very soon too. So I think those people that want to wake up are gonna, but I don't think it's going to be a long time before all of humanity snaps out of it. I think we got a chance, and I think people are, like we're like a team, a wave of teachers and presenters here now. When we leave, there's going to be the next team that comes in. They're going to want to, just like us. They're going to eyes wide open. They're going to know what they're getting into, and they're going to come here to help yet again, to help those people who want to wake up and understand what's going on and be free of it. They have that opportunity. And I think that's going to go on for quite a while.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know.
After that, some holidays would be great. Richard, how do we support ourselves? And this is a question that it's intent to touch everyone that feels resonance with supporting others and being here to support the awakening process. The first question is, how do we support ourselves? How do you support you as Richard?
Well, what I do is my spiritual work. It's looking inward. All the truth one will ever need will be found within. And that's sounds simple, but it's really deep. Because if you understand who you are the all that is. So all that is within you. So there's that. But to access inner knowing, it's a thing I do. It comes natural to me. It's just part of who I am. When people ask me a question, I tap into an inner knowing. It's like, it just comes out of nowhere. But it's not channeled information. It's me. But I open up to my inner awareness and my knowing. And this stuff is right there and just pours out. It's just me talking. But sometimes I get done talking, making a video or something. I go, damn, that sounded good. Where'd that come from? Like that. So to help, I think each person should look inward, look to spiritual growth and development and betterment techniques to support themselves.
Yes.
Meditation, deep inner work, whatever.
And tell me, is there one topic that you are most fascinated with at the moment?
At the moment, it's sharing the truth on planet Earth. So I've got this Truth Support Network I'm doing, and I'm getting people interested in that so we can get together and do it together. That's at richwest.net. Okay.
Absolutely.
If you want to find out more about it,
yes.
Go over there. And I love learning what's going on the planet, and I love sharing it. And it's my understanding that there's nothing more important on planet Earth right now than humanity understanding what's going on, who's doing what to who and why. And humanity is being treated like cattle. We are being treated like a resource, raw material. We are being used by the powers that be, the superpower, elite, rich, and more. And they are trying to keep us ignorant, uneducated in the real truth of things, so that they can keep us in pain and misery and sadness and sorrow, so that it can feed off of our pain. And it's not going to change until enough of humanity, enough people know who it is doing it and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. And not enough people know that it's even being done to them. They think that's just the way it is, or it's a big they. No, there are specific individuals who are at the top of this chain, the top of this pyramid. There are individuals who, in levels of power, who create pyramid structure of more power and more power and more power, control structures, and then we get our governments and we get our educational system, technology, science, and all of it. And it's all affected by these people in power who are trying to keep us unhappy, in misery, in financial slavery, and all of these things. As humanity learns about this and really gets it, then when there's enough people that understand, then we can decide what to do about it. But until there's enough people, it's really figuring out what to do about taxes or some other, pollution from major corporations. It's too soon, and not enough people know or can make a change happen. You got to gather more people together who know what's going on, so that then we can make the changes. So the first thing we need to do is let more and more people know what's going on. And so that's presenting the truth or promoting those that present the truth, and doing what we can to get the truth, at least vital information, out to people. And that's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing. So I think that's the most important thing, and that's what I'm busy doing right now. I'm gathering more people who want to learn the truth and share the truth in my Truth Support Network thing. So that's what I'm about. But it's anybody and everybody that's presenting great information on the internet and in the world is worthy of support.
It's amazing the amount of information that you actually can find, and also how important it is to tune each of us into our own heart and self to filter the information that might be, fear-based, or information that is going to be for your support and empowerment. That's also really important, I believe.
That's very important, and I struggle with it all the time. There's so much negative information out there that I believe I need to know and people need to know. But at the same time, we don't want to just, it's all negative. There's a lot of positive stuff. And how do you split it up, or how do you share all of it? It's a challenge. It really is. I studied the negative stuff for like 7 years straight. And it was just, I had to let it go. I had to stop doing it. I learned too much and I couldn't do anything about it. So then I switched back over to, the positive stuff. But I think there needs to be a balance. I think it's possible for a person to not know anything about any of the negativity going on planet Earth, and they can, in their own way, using law of attraction, positive, focus, they can empower themselves and experience the awakening for themselves, and as an example, share that with others, and that's a way to do it. It really is. And sometimes I wonder, is that what I should be doing? Should I just be focused on the positive and not even think about, or talk about any of this negative stuff, or not? And I'm not saying which way is the best way or the right way. I think everybody has the opportunity to make that choice and decision. Because I've seen people that don't focus on the negative, and they're in pretty good shape. And I go, should I be doing that? And I go, I don't know, man. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear
It's a
you.
game.
I hear what you're saying. And the importance of the role you're playing, which is information and going into the uncomfortable information, which has more
Yeah.
resistance. And I want to share
Yeah.
with you one way that has brought me peace to find this balance in between talking, for example, about conspiracy stories and saying, you know what? Yeah, this actually resonates true, but not falling into the victim energy, which is kind of low vibrational. And you know what the thoughts that I use is that it's a mixture of gratitude. It's like, okay, I acknowledge that yes, we have been controlled. There is a lot of dark stuff out there. If we open our eyes, yep, chemtrails and karma and all these things. But as you were saying, because if we wanted to experience this forgetfulness and illusion of separation and duality in a very real way, we needed that. And someone took that part of the game. So it's like being grateful. It's like, thank you. I don't agree with this anymore. And I'm going to put this information out there so other people can be aware of that, not freak out, but saying, oh, right, it's there. I see it now. Thank you. I don't need it anymore. But that gratitude piece is the one that actually works for me, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very powerful. I was doing that last night, I was looking at how things are and I go, oh, okay, wait, I'm really grateful for this and this and this and this. It really helps. The energy of gratitude. What you're doing is you're not only, when you think about it, you're creating it, but you're also creating the feeling state you choose to have go with it, which is gratitude. So, and that's uplifting and it totally helps. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only thing that has combined both things. It's like, okay, let's see what's happening, and also let's not fall when we see the truth of this. But it's like, oh, cool, now I'm more empowered. Great, let's go dancing.
Yeah, for some reason, I am able to look at that uncomfortable stuff better and more easily than most people. It's just something about me. I can do that without getting drawn into it. Other people know as much or more about the dark stuff than I do, but they're stuck in it. It's like, oh, it's all terrible, doom and gloom, and they're predicting negative things and thinking. I don't do that. No, I see it's getting better, and it's going to continue to get better for all of us, and it's for all those of us who choose and want that kind of reality. And because reality is multi-dimensional, or there's so many variations on reality and many different reality systems, that we each and every day we are choosing our reality. And I'm going this way. I'm not buying that bullshit. That stuff, that negative stuff that people are saying. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not going there. And one day at a time, and just keep it optimistic as best I can.
Who inspires you in life?
Who inspires me in life?
Yes. Where do you find your inspiration?
Oh, I find it within me is where I get it. I enjoy the teachings of, many teachers over the years. But it's not the inspiration. It comes from within. It really does. If I can talk freely to my friends, I get inspired. I mean, just talking to you, I get excited and inspired. So it's anyone who is listening, is a willing listener, and it's kind of, we're on the same wavelength, kind of close, and I get talking, and then I get going. So it kind of works like.
And related to that, Is there anything that you're looking forward to in your life right now?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this Truth Support Network thing working, because what it should do is there's so many people that want to share the truth, but know that other people won't listen. What do I do? And they've shut down. They've gone into apathy about sharing the truth about anything. They won't talk about it. So since I started this call to people who like to do it, they fill out a little form that's, what might be some of your reasons for wanting to join the Truth Support Network? And they're sharing the same stories. I used to share it and nobody would listen, and I don't talk to anybody about it anymore. Or it's too hard. I don't know how to do it because I don't know how to reach my friends, because we all have vital information that we want to share and our friends aren't listening. Right. Strangers aren't listening. But how do we do this? So I'm helping people learn how to share the truth, and more than that, get together with other people who had similar issues. And instead of talking about the negative on how hard it is, no, we're looking at strategies for sharing the truth. And I'm going to help them put up their little website or a Patreon page or a YouTube channel or a blog or something, and help them just get started and support each other and support the truth movement in general. Because I feel a lot of people really strongly about the truth or the vital information needing to get out. We get it. People need to know what's going on this planet. That's what I think. Including positive stuff.
Including positive stuff. That's true. If you turn on the TV, everything is negative. Yeah, we miss more. We need more positive things for sure. And thank you for that. In my personal life, the support of friends and other people has been really important. Exactly what you're saying. Even speaking with you, it's really enlightening for me.
Yeah, it is me too. It feels good talking to people who really are on the same page. They're aware. They know a lot about what's going on, positive and negative, and have a great conversation about it. And you can't do that with just anybody. So it's a neat, like-minded people.
So let me see how we are. I think we are more or less in time frame when it's 22:11 here, of course. And I just feel I really want to be grateful for all the time and so many years that you have dedicated your life to supporting others, especially because you're someone who has been talking about these things for over 20 years, you're saying, and this is something that only a few years ago, I would dare say maybe 10 years ago, it was not big at all. So a pioneer, and how challenging that might have been. So grateful for that.
Well, thank you.
Is there anything that you would like the listeners to know or to hear that will serve them in their daily lives? How to empower them to have to step into their own sovereignty and their lives. Could be
two things come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
One is, it has to do with being able to be awake when your body's asleep. If you can be awake when your body's asleep, you're shifting consciousness, and you can start getting out of your body or shifting into these other realms, and you will see for yourself how real they are. You can touch them and feel them, and there's people you talk to and interact with, and it's literally, it can be more real than the physical experience. So it gives you an opportunity to question reality and have something to compare. Because, in fact, there is a greater reality. And there's so much to learn about yourself and reality and the universe and the multiverse. And you can learn that by having your consciousness shift into other realms, commonly known as an astral projection or a out-of-body experience. But in fact, you're just consciousness shifting. You're staying awake when your physical body's asleep or in a trance state. And you can be wide awake, and you will be able to find your answers that way and your understanding of life. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is your diet is going to make a difference. What you eat will affect your vibration. So the better you eat, more fruits, raw fruits and vegetables, the better, more able you're going to be to, one, get out of body, and two, keep your body healthy and well functioning.
I was not expecting that last one, and I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, I've just recently, I'm on an all fruit. I'm seeing how long I can do this all fruit diet.
Delicious.
Yeah. That's day 3, day 4 now. No coffee. I stopped coffee. And guess what? I've had 4 out-of-body experiences in the last 4 days. Yeah.
This is very interesting. We might be synchronized somehow, because I'm starting tomorrow a juice fasting, and I was wondering also. So it's good for the body and everything. Of course, I'm encouraging the listeners to listen to their bodies and to tune into what is it that they need. So Richard, thank you so much for your time, for your wisdom, for being in this planet in these times, and to share in such an open way topics that are so far out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I know we could explore so many others. Maybe we'll do a second one on something specific or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we can pick any topic you want. Maybe check with your listeners. Mm-hmm. There's this, one that comes up a lot. We could do whatever you'd like to do. I'd love to.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Okay, then. Let me say thank you to you. I really appreciate your interest in what I have to share, and for contacting me and doing such a great interview.